Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. The weather is good, and there's lots of clean tech activity going on right now, so we want to jump right into it. My name is Brian Watson from CleanTech North, and we've got Paul Connor here helping me on the technical side. First off, wanted to do a quick land acknowledgement. CleanTech North would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of many different nations, including where I particularly am, which is the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. It is now the home of many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. Great resource is nativeland.ca, where you can figure out where you are particularly situated, and I highly encourage you to check that out. Next, I'd like to thank all of our partners, Flow Ventures, Export Development Canada. We'll hear a little bit more about some of the stuff they're doing the next week soon. Swan Law, City of Toronto, startup here, City of Toronto's SME community. The Center for Social Innovation and Climate Ventures, and the Canadian Open Data Society. Just a quick plug. I would like to invite you all to take a look at the Octia, octia.ca website. This is the industry association for Clean Tech for Ontario, which I and a number of others were part of getting set up, going on 3 years now. Lots of great policy wins in the last federal election, and we're hoping for more progress on the provincial side, where there's already been quite a bit of progress. So no one in clean tech is immune to policy issues. So we would highly recommend that you join that organization and support our work on the policy front. I mentioned that we'd be talking about clean tech. This is a big month for clean tech. Lots of events going on, including one of the biggest of the year, which unfortunately we're not in person again. But fortunately, Lynn and the entire EDC team have put together another great event, and that is taking place next week. If you haven't found the link, I didn't want to put the whole link in the slideware for you to copy down, but it's certainly all over my LinkedIn feed, should you be interested at all in joining. Really good sessions, and a great companion app for discussion and other events happening on the Whova app there. So highly recommend you join us there, and you might see some familiar faces pitching at that. So join us. And that's mostly Monday and Tuesday next week. Don't really need to dive into the agenda too much today, but we'll be showcasing 3 companies and also 2 new venture capital firms that are on their way to starting to invest in companies. Wanted to add this component in because we're seeing a lot more activity in the clean tech space, and seeing new firms start to dip their toes into this space, mostly folks that have been around in the ecosystem for a while now. So I wanted to give them a chance to introduce themselves and let you know what their thesis is when they're investing and when those funds go live. Few quick pieces of housekeeping. We are recording. You should have gotten a notification on the way in. We will be posting this to likely YouTube after I've had a chance to edit it. Because of that, we do ask that everybody mute themselves, including myself, because I've got jackhammers happening in the background. So I will be muting myself after this. If you do have any questions, we ask that you please put them in the chat function. We will try to answer questions at the tail end of the event, but we want to make sure, because we've got 5 different pieces of content, 3 companies and 2 venture presenters, that we really want to make sure we get through all of that before 5 o'clock. So questions in the chat, we'll try to address them at the end. And with that, I will invite our first companies to take over the screen.
Okay, everybody see that okay? Great. So my name is Zachary Hodgen. I am a firefighter is my background. I'm one of the co-founders of FireRain and the VP of Business Development. We've got also our president, Quincy Emmons, on the line, and I've got behind me here in my office, Dr. David Hyman, who's our Chief Science Officer. So basically, we came up with FireRain because we saw a need in the industry to replace toxic chemicals from the fire service. So when we say toxic chemicals, we mean we realized that there were some really nasty stuff in the foams that we were using. Things that we're using to put out fires faster actually is causing cancer to firefighters, damaging human health, getting into the water stream, and having a very negative impact on the environment. And these constituents in these foams are fluorinated compounds, particularly PFAS and PFOA. These are in the mainstream media now, and actually the Biden administration and the EPA are putting a big push to get rid of these. There's actually been a lot of media in the last month. And the reason being is they, again, are bioaccumulative, they cause cancer, and they're bad for the environment. So this has given us a great opportunity as we've been growing over the last 5 years, and now our competition is essentially being legislated out of existence. So a really good time to be launching into sales. So to give you an idea of the impact of what this means, so everybody on this call has trace amounts of PFAS in their blood. That's unequivocally, it is in your blood because you can't get rid of it once it's there. And to give you an idea of the magnitude of how much is being used and how it's getting everywhere, well, if you look at the numbers, 400 million liters of toxic foam are used globally in 2022. So, last year, so this year, 2021, we're probably in the 300 and some million because, due to climate change and also due to, the uses where these fires are more complex due to building construction being made of more synthetics. So we're having to use these water additives to actually put these fires out more efficiently. So as I had mentioned, increased risk for firefighter cancer, and there are now states that have banned the use of these products. So what's our mission? So FireRain is a global clean tech company providing sustainable firefighting technologies that protect people, wildlife, and the environment. So that's essentially what we're here to do, and we've been working very hard to make that our goal and our mission. So what we did is we partnered with some universities, early on Queen's University and Green Center Canada, and we came up with an idea saying we wanted to have a product that's safe enough to eat. And we acknowledged that the foam of the future might not be a foam at all. And in fact, we realized that it needed to be a gel. And what we came up with, EcoGel. So EcoGel is the first and only plant-based firefighting water additive that's fluorine-free. So we actually have 2 certifications of the product indicating that it is 100% plant-based by UL and the USDA. So these are certifications that have already been done, and that proves that the product is sustainably sourced from agricultural biofeedstocks. And what's interesting is that it sticks and stays where it's applied. So now your contaminants from the fire scene are now staying where the fire is and not going off into the environment as well. So this is huge benefit when it comes to dollars and cents, because you're able to put the fire out faster, but also you don't have the excess water damage from the runoff. So if you look at multi-story buildings, like apartment buildings, you're gonna have less water damage. And the insurance companies are a big fan of saving money whenever it comes to those types of emergencies as well. So what is EcoGel? So EcoGel is a mix of plant-based polymers that is a liquid concentrate. And what happens is on the fire truck, you can have different types of mixing equipment that are traditionally used with foam. We've engineered our product to be plug and play with what the foams are using, either reduction or injection systems. And as it's metered in at anywhere from 1 to 6%, depending on the type of fire, it mixes with the water, creating that gel layer you can see here on the wood. So this is a sawmill that burned, sawmill building that caught fire. And as you can see, the contaminants are kept there, but also it prevents rekindle. So the firefighters don't have to come back because it's sequestering the moisture as well as, it's sequestering the fire vapors as well as keeping moisture at the fire scene. This is particularly important when you consider wildfire emergencies. and being able to prevent the spread of fire and not have rekindles when a certain area has been put out. So picture it coming out of an aircraft, picture being able to coat your house with it for structure protection from a wildfire. We have patents in over 7 countries that are issued. We also have 2 certifications we're going to, and you can see here the UL efficacy testing for Q4 2021. We're going to Chicago next month to test with UL. That certification with UL will unlock markets like the Canadian military, as well as municipal fire departments like Toronto, Ottawa, and other cities in Ontario and across Canada. The other certification is called the USDA Qualified Products List through the US Forest Service, and that unlocks markets in the wildfire space. So if you consider federal and state purchasers, provincial buyers and federal government buyers here in Canada, that unlocks those buyers for large-scale use on wildfires. So where is our focus going out of the gate? So we've really narrowed it down to the industry sales of EcoGel being focused on the smaller to mid-sized fire departments and First Nations communities. They have a huge need for more efficient and better firefighting solutions. As well, given the current environmental landscape with the fire foam debacle, we have had fire chiefs locally here in Ontario reach out to us because they are under lawsuits from the foam contamination, and the municipalities, the councillors, and their insurance providers saying, you guys have to switch and switch now. And they really don't have any answers that can solve the problem other than our product that have been identified. So again, big opportunity for us, and really going to help us scale as we launch the product. So to give you an idea of the market opportunity, so we did a bottoms-up approach with the municipal sector where we took a certain amount, an average consumed per first-run pumper per fire station, and basically what that means for our potential opportunity with EcoGel is about 1 billion throughout North America and 91 million throughout the municipal fire departments in Canada. Likewise, we did a similar approach for the wildfire, and both Canada and the US, combined, we're in the 500 million range for the opportunity and unlocking those channels. So a lot of opportunity there, and we do have some strategies and potential partners to help us unlock those bigger channels as well, which we can talk about later. So this is basically just a chart that shows kind of who are the main players, right? So you've got FireAid, Solberg Foam, and a FireIce, which is a gel product. So these products will put out fires, yes. Some of them have performance limitations. Some of them have difficulty in use. But the foams you can see have the, and the gel also have the environmental problems, right? And I won't say which ones on the list, but a couple of them are the reason why these lawsuits are happening and why people are coming to us. So again, great opportunity. So as we go towards UL and getting certifications, 2 years ago we said, well, is it going to be difficult to get UL, and how do we de-risk this and get cash flow moving? So what we did is we actually spun off 2 product lines, one being HotWorks, which is for cutting, grinding, welding. And basically, it's a fire barrier for tradespeople when they're doing that type of work to prevent the spread of fire. And then we have one called KitchenWorks that works really well on your kitchen and cooking oil fires. So that's actually been launched. Princess Auto is a local brand that just picked us up 2 weeks ago. For those. So those are starting to sell, and we have signed a rep agency for those. Talking about the team, so we're strong in the firefighters. We've got Peter Sells, myself and Quincy, and then David, who brings the science background. Valerie, who is got a background in marketing. She's on mat leave, but she's coming back soon. And a graphic designer, Sean Beek. We have recognized that we need to fill in some voids. Looking at bringing in executive members to help with operations, as well as some more executive BD people. And then the ask. So we're asking for $500,000 to help with sales, the certification, a little bit of scale up. I will say this is a tag-along on our existing round. So we've currently raised $750,000 at the current offering. we are able to talk about the same offering if people are interested in that, or potentially new terms. We just want to get the money get funded so we can continue to grow the business. One thing I will mention is that because our technology is so unique, it has attracted interest from Berkshire Hathaway Chemical Company that we've been doing contract R&D with for the last year. They've done diligence on everybody in the landscape and found that we're at least 2 years ahead of any of our competition. And we believe that a deal with them will be impending in next year, likely. But that's going well, and we're going to continue to grow organically until something definitive happens with them. So thank you for your time, and I'm just looking at the clock, so I'm finished.
Perfect timing, Zach. And organically is a great word when you're going from carcinogenic to food grade additive that you can eat. And looking forward to hearing more. In the meantime, Luna, I will cue you up here. You should be able to take over the screen there. Luna, take it away from overseas.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you see my screen, by the way?
You're perfect.
Awesome. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much again for organizing this event and for inviting us to be here. Super happy to be here today. My name is Luna from Genesis Bio. And what we do at Genesis is quite simple. We make biodegradable plastics from organic waste. Last year, over 300 million tons of plastics were wasted, causing massive global pollution. At Genesis, we know that there's a better solution. It's a material made by bacteria called PHAs, or polyhydroxyalkanoids. And PHAs can replace 60% of the world's petroleum plastics. That's really cool. And that's because PHAs are fully biodegradable and it's got great performance. And at Genesis, we make PHAs affordable by producing them from cost-negative food waste as opposed to expensive sugars. That's our core value proposition. We're able to make PHAs at negative 40% cost than most of our competitors out there. And of course, we're not going to stop there. At Genesis, our vision is to become the standard oil of food waste. Now, roughly 100-something years ago, John D. Rockefeller founded Standard Oil to convert or refine crude oil into kerosene, which is a chemical that was used back in the days to light up oil lamps. Now, what most people may not know is that during the manufacturing of kerosene, a huge amount of waste materials was produced. And this waste material was petroleum. Now, then Standard Oil went on to seize the opportunity to refine this waste material, petroleum, into the many products that we're all very familiar with today, including gasoline, fuels, and of course, plastics. So at Genesis, we believe the same could be done with food waste by transforming them via biotechnology and bacteria into sustainable materials of tomorrow, starting with PHAs. And this is all made possible with our perfection of the bacteria. In the last couple of years, we partnered up with nature to sequence over 1,000 novel bacteria species and select for the best genes. Earlier this year, we successfully integrated them into a single organism, creating the world's first recombinant bacteria, capable of converting mixed food waste into tunable PHA polymers. And together with our multiple lock and key systems, which includes data-driven algorithms and process innovation patents, we have built a strong moat around our core technology. And in terms of penetrating the market, we're first starting with flexible PHAs, because flexible PHAs are actually very difficult to make from pure sugar feedstocks. And they currently retail at 5 to 7 times higher price point than rigid PHAs do. But at Genesis, we could actually make both rigid and flexible PHAs by tuning our bacteria content at the same cost using food waste. And that gives us a huge unique advantage, this ultra premium market. That's exactly where we want to start with our go-to-market strategy. We've essentially adopted a go-to-market strategy that's similar to Tesla's, starting with the ultra premium market where we can create high margins, low volumes, using then the profits of that to broaden our market scope and make PHAs even more affordable, whereby eventually we can unlock our ultimate goal, which is unlocking the massive $500 billion commodity plastics market. Now, I know what you're thinking. It probably sounds like a dream. It's a very long way to go, and many companies have tried to do this but fail. and all for good reason, by the way. So in the bioplastic or the biotechnology industry in general, typically speaking, if you want to have a large production plant, it costs up to hundreds of millions of dollars and up to 5 years to set up a single production plant, right? At Genesis, we're not doing that. We have a very unique approach to scaling up our technology. We will instead piggyback our technology onto the existing infrastructure biogas plants who already have very similar equipment, process, technology, and permits that we need. And this model really allows Genesis to scale 5 times faster than a fraction of the costs. And for biogas plants, we help them generate a product that is 10x the revenue that they would otherwise get from making just biogas. And of course, this is no longer just a pipe dream. Last couple of months ago, we've actually been approved of a $6 million project from the Canadian government, Engine, to integrate our technology with one of the largest biogas plants here in Canada, Stormfisher. On the other hand, our customers also loves our product. In the last 12 months alone, we went from $0 in revenue, pre-revenue, to closing now over $1 million in product development fees with Fortune 500, paired with $10 million in purchase orders. And that really sets us apart from many of our competitors who have been around for the past decade, but are still nowhere near product launch. A lot of these Fortune 500s that we're working with right now actually already have millions of units of products on the market today that we will be replacing. And actually, that's why I'm here currently in Denmark, in Copenhagen, Denmark, working with one of our newest clients, Novo Nordisk, where we're actually going to be converting their insulin production waste into plastic components that will then go into their insulin pen devices. And Novo Nordisk is the largest insulin producer in the world. And this is one project that we're super excited about, and you'll be hearing a lot more about in the news coming up. And that actually gets to our current biggest challenge right now. Our biggest challenge is that in the last couple of months alone, we've secured these $10 million in purchase orders, plus a lot more customers on the wait list that we cannot serve. So currently, as of right now, we're actually completely sold out in terms of our existing capacity for the next 3 years. And that's been one of our biggest challenges, especially now being able to hit a lot of the key technical milestones with our existing JDA customers, whereby the #1 common questions that we're getting from our clients today is, how can we make polymers faster? And that's what we've actually spent the last 2 months really trying to figure out internally. And it turns out, ironically, that we actually had the answer in front of our eyes all along. It's a common practice in the plastic industry called compounding, which is really just blending your own resins with other market resins to form these composite resins that can still meet all the technical specs required by your client. But doing this actually gives us 2 major benefits. #1 is that it really removes the bottleneck that we had internally in our productions. So we're no longer limited by how much we can produce ourselves, as we can supplement the overall resins with market resins. And #2 is that it actually heavily de-risks our customer supply chain, especially when it's working with a new startup like us, being able to actually get polymers faster, cheaper, and having a more secure feedstock or more secure supply chain. It makes our customers really happy as well. So this is a new strategy that we've essentially embarked upon, and that we really believe will help us unlock our $10 million of purchase orders as early as next year. And what's our secret sauce? An award-winning team. My COO and I have both built profitable companies in the past. And our CFO co-founded a $300 million bioplastic company that is one of the largest in the world today, NatureWorks, which spun out of Cargill Dow. Our directors have decades of experience in scaling up technology, as well as working in big companies, including Honeywell. And also our team of 25 engineers and scientists has won many awards, including first place in the Quebec Engineering Competition and the 2019's LTech Young Scientist Award. In terms of progress, we are unrecognizable from when we first started back in 2017. Back then, we really didn't have much more beyond just our passion, so we couldn't afford expensive bioreactors, and we ended up having to build them ourselves out of rice cookers. Fast forward to today, we now have a 7,000 square foot pilot facility equipped with state-of-the-art equipment, and also achieved industrial scale validation with the National Research Council of Canada. We've also been able to raise over $11 million to date, 3.5 of which from notable investors like Y Combinator, paired with $7.5 million in non-dilutive money from the government, whereby we were one of the youngest teams in Canada to be awarded a multi-million-dollar industrial scale-up grant. And that's all about Genesis. And the reason why we're here today in our main ask is that we were actually raising a roughly $10 million Series A couple months ago, but recently, just a couple of weeks ago, a lot of our existing investors, as well as investors that we met, wanted to put money into our company right away so that we can take that money, really use it towards our compounding strategy so we can start fulfilling our purchase orders as quickly as possible. So we've actually decided to open up a no more than $2 million bridge round, really quick, rapid round, which we started just last week. Now it's actually almost 80% filled. We'll be closing next week. If any of you guys are interested, please do contact me by the end of this presentation. Thank you again for your time. And yeah, thank you so much again, Brian, for organizing this event.
Just no problem at all. And seeing the rice cooker reactor picture again, the last time I saw that was, I think, in the Green Centers Canada pitch. So that was worth it alone. Thank you very much. Michael, I'm going to pass it over to you from Smartricity.
Thanks, Brian, and thanks to everybody for joining us today. Just give me a quick moment here while I pull up the presentation. Everybody can see the screen okay? Great. So Smartricity is a smart industrial electric motor and software clean tech company. We were established in 2016. Through disruptive electric motor and software technology, our highly reliable and ultra-efficient electric motors will drastically reduce emissions, waste, and industrial carbon footprint for a smarter, cleaner, and more sustainable future. A good way to think about us is we take sexy EV tech and apply it to the impactful, archaic industrial world. While everyone is focused on the electrification of vehicles, e-mobility, and aerospace, the industrial world has been forgotten. The fact is, industry is a higher contributor to GHGs, pollution, global energy consumption. With the demand expected to double in the next 20 years, it is the most important sector for improvement. Our motors are built using switch reluctance motor technology, SRMs, and are underlining true prescriptive maintenance smart shield software. We target critical applications where our motor can make the biggest impact on asset uptime availability, greenhouse gas savings, and eliminating costly downtime. The team at Smartricity has spent years understanding electric motors and their applications, and this knowledge and experience allows us to develop truly game-changing motor solutions. SRM technology is unique in that it's drastically more reliable due to its simple, robust, and low-cost construction. It has traditional coils on the stator, no conductors on the rotor, no brushes or commutators, and does not use permanent magnets when compared to traditional AC/DC motor designs. Our smart motors use no rare earth metals, making them drastically more sustainable and supply chain risk adverse. When removing these pain points from the existing design, we reduce the weight and create significant improvements to performance and efficiencies. Our underlying proprietary Smart Shield motor software enables true prescriptive maintenance, smart monitoring, and advanced data analytics via the cloud. Our AI-based machine learning fault detection algorithms can predict failures in motors 30 days in advance with 98% accuracy. Smart Shield is inherently integrated into all of our new motors and available as a retrofit solution using existing sensor hardware readily available in the market. Our flagship motor for the renewables industry is our Ventium Pitch SRM. The pitch systems in onshore and offshore wind turbines are one of the biggest contributors to turbine downtime, with studies showing over 20% of failures directly related to the pitch systems. We built these with direct input from the biggest asset owners in the industry, all of whom have had experience in pitch failure in an impactful way. We have a deep understanding of the current electric motors and understand the most common failures experienced in the field. More importantly, we understand how to solve them. Ventium is 50% lighter, 9% more efficient. It covers a range of ratings, eliminating the need for large inventory requirements, and is drastically more reliable. We have the same footprint and mounting configuration as the incumbent designs, making Ventium a drop-in replacement. Our value proposition makes Ventium a no-brainer for wind farm owners, operators, and OEM turbine manufacturers based on benefits seen from increased operational efficiency, reduced downtime, improved reliability, and massive GHG cost savings. We have addressed each pain point carefully in the current system, making Ventium the most versatile and reliable wind pitch motor on the market. It doesn't stop there. SRM motors are controlled with advanced power electronics, replacing frequently problematic and traditional AC-DC converters, which are used in conjunction with traditional brushed or brushless DC machines. Our Ventium pitch drive has better heat dissipation to avoid semiconductor failure due to high temperatures, better current ratings, lower stray inductance, avoids failures due to voltage spikes, electromagnetic interference, higher switching losses, and much more rugged design suitable for all weather conditions with our IP68 enclosure. The markets that our motor and software technology can directly address are massive. Although we've spent most of the time today talking about our Ventium wind pitch SRM, we are also currently in various stages of commercialization on our other highly efficient and reliable motors for solar tracking, food processing, HVAC, and mining applications. Our underlying motor software is also being implemented into multiple hardware sensor diagnostic and testing products that are readily available in the market today. Smartricity has had tremendous growth and traction over the past 6 months, particularly, securing multiple IP and partnership agreements with key partners. We have built and validated our wind pitch SRM and converter and developed a unique wind pitch testing simulator in our labs. We have and are continuing to finalize our agreements with the largest companies in the renewable space and are in early stage development directly with the turbine OEMs. We are negotiating multiple licenses and agreements for Smart Shield and have successfully validated our algorithms both in field and in lab. We are weeks away from finishing our testing and validation facility here in Ontario to expand our algorithms into larger horsepower motors and new applications. We are also in development and prototyping of 6 new electric motor applications to release in 2022, again in solar, food processing, HVAC, mining, and other industrial manufacturing applications. To date, myself and my co-founder Mike, who's also on the call, have invested over $300,000 to navigate through the initial startup and development stages. We've just recently announced the completion of our seed round, raising $1 million at a $20 million pre-money valuation for validation, testing, integration, further facility upgrades. And we're currently launching our Series A round at $7.5 to $10 million to accelerate our commercialization for our current products from strategic and value-added investors. Our plan is to raise a Series B to really amplify and rapidly expand our production, and that'll be between 30 and 50 million and expected in the first part of 2022. Thank you very much again, Brian, and everybody for your time. And if you have any questions, let us know.
Great, Michael, thank you very much. As I mentioned at the beginning of this session, we've had a lot of new folks entering the CleanTech funding sphere, and wanted to showcase a few of those. So, Brian, we want to work.
You froze, Brian. You want to repeat what you just said?
Hopefully, am I unfrozen now?
No.
Yes, you're unfrozen.
Okay, perfect. And I've got a blue circle of death circling on my side, so bear with me. If I disappear, you'll know what happened. I wanted to pass it over to Brian Duarte on the Black Tech Capital side, and I'm going to go deal with some technical issues. Brian?
All right, thank you very much, Brian. So happy to be here today. I'm Brian Duarte, and I'm one of the general partners in Black Tech Capital, where we're investing in Black entrepreneurs in clean tech. So our thesis, we're a $5 million pre-seed fund in Toronto that is investing in Black entrepreneurs that are focused on clean tech, leveraging our networks and track record of growing several companies to 9x valuation increases. So why now? Of last year, of just over the $150 billion raised for venture funding in North America, less than 1% was allocated to Black founders. And then for this audience here, there's obviously no need to talk about climate change and the intensifying of CO2 emissions and what the need is there. So by focusing on Black entrepreneurs in clean tech, our impact is at that intersection of social responsibility and environmental initiatives. The market opportunity. The clean tech market is expected to exceed $2.5 trillion next year. Yet currently, Canada is ranked second in the Global Clean Tech 100 Index. We're behind the United States, but we're ahead of countries such as Germany, UK, and France. So it positions us very well in Canada here for developing clean tech companies. And there's funding from the federal government supporting that. And then also now you're seeing funding for Black entrepreneurs through the Black Entrepreneurship Program and the Black Opportunity Fund. So the environment is currently right to be focusing in this particular area. Oh, sorry here. So our strategy, there's a great opportunity with Black founders. Most pre-seed companies are either do not have or they're just at the minimum viable product stage. Yet our founders are often at pre-production and a few of them are already gaining customer traction, yet they haven't received any initial investment into their companies. So you can see the various technology levels and they're at technology levels 7 and above. So the technology is well advanced beyond what you would expect from a typical pre-seed company. Now, where do we get the companies that we're looking to invest in? Myself and my other general partner, we're directors in the clean tech vertical that's part of Founder Institute. We're Founder Institute, they're the largest pre-seed accelerator in the world, and they're over 200 cities and continents. Now, our investments are focused here just in North America. We're part of Ryerson University's incubator program, and we're investment readiness coaches through their social venture zone. And also a partner with CleanTech North, as Brian mentioned, is the Climate Ventures and the Center for Social Innovation. I've been an advisor into Earth Tech Accelerator over the last couple of cohorts. And I've also been as part of Climate Ventures since 2018 when it launched. So those are just an example of some of the areas where we can get some of our deal flows are. We're connected well with the University of Toronto. Just 2 weeks ago, the University of Toronto launched their Black Entrepreneurship Program through their Black Founders Network as part of their whole entrepreneurship. So there's lots of different areas where we get exposed to great opportunities and companies for us to invest into. So talking about those companies and the opportunities that are out there. So one example, we have an aquaponics company. They're already at TRL 7. So, you know, when you're looking at a venture fund such as ours and what you're going, the real option is in the great companies we're able to find, and that's what we're highlighting here. They've already gained customer traction. They've got proprietary AI technology, and they're looking to help people increase sustainable fish farming sources. We know fish farming is one of those areas that there's pros and cons to it, yet, so they're looking to improve that industry and make a big impact. And some of the first areas they're looking to impact in is, even though they're a Canadian company, looking at countries over in Africa, into the Caribbean, and across here in North America, where they can help with that. And we've been working with them for a while, even though we've yet to make our first investment into them. We've been working with them for the last 6 to 8 months, connect them to different subject matter experts or different industries, including a custom sensor manufacturer here in Canada, to help them scale and grow faster. We have a renewable energy company. They're at TRL 9. They're already delivering their solutions. It's delivering clean energy at a price point for individuals and businesses that are in poor regions of the world. You know, so it's a replacement for solar, which can be a big investment for people, or definitely replacing things like diesel generators in these poor regions. And this company, they've got a proprietary solution with a US provisional patent. And the founder is not his first thing. He's a 2-time entrepreneur and won numerous international awards, including recently an Earthshot finalist from the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge in the UK. So well-recognized company, got some initial grant funding, but nothing yet on the scale needed to scale them up. And that's where we've come in. We've been advising them and connecting them with strategic partners already in the industry. Another opportunity is a remote real-time sensoring company. It's a 2-time woman founder, looking to connect remote sensing devices in the oil, gas, forestry, and mining industries. I mean, typically when you're looking at remote forestry ranges, remote mining, they've got sensors there for, say, their tailing ponds, but how do you get that information back? You know, the wonderful Wi-Fi cellular network we experience here in the city does not exist. And so they're doing that. And they've got a great partnership with the University of Waterloo in part of that development. And now a partnership with Schneider Electric that once their technology is further advanced, they've got a customer waiting there. And again, another entrepreneur that's an award-winning entrepreneur. Final opportunity I'd like to present here, it's a carbon capture company. And they're able to capture carbon and turn it into acrylonitrile. So they're taking atmospheric carbon and putting acrylonitrile into something that could be used for carbon fibers. And they've got a patented process with an exclusive license from NRL. The team, the general partners, is myself and Isabel Stark. I've been 4 times over entrepreneur, been 10 years in the clean tech sustainability sector. And as I mentioned, an advisor into various accelerators. And we've got an extensive venture team. We're not just relying on just my expertise. You've got Friday's expertise and with his master's and now doing his doctorate in carbon waste, working with the European Union. We've got Devon there on the financial side. And we've got even Founder Institute have come in as a venture partner. So we've got an extensive team that's adding to our thing. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you.
Awesome, Brian. I can't wait till you're live, and anything we can do to help make that happen sooner rather than later, which it sounds like it's going to happen pretty soon anyway. I can't wait for that to happen. Want to move on now that my computer seems to be a little bit stable. Want to move on to Mir at Blue Vision Capital. There, you take over the screen there.
Yeah, sure. So hello, everyone. Bear with me, I'll just put the presentation on.
Perfect.
Okay. So yeah, hi everyone, and great to be here. Thank you so much, Brian, for the invitation. Effectively, I'm in the process of launching a new fund called Blue Vision Capital. So basically, we're a Quebec-based venture capital fund. I'm based in Montreal. It's important to mention that we're capitalist by nature, so the idea is to deliver outsized returns. But we're looking to invest in climate tech startups that really focus on efficiency and scale. And important to mention that we could often get carried away with high capex type opportunities, and we try to be quite mindful of that by really looking at low capex but high scalability type startups. Another thing important to note, so we're not currently operational. We are still fundraising. So our first close will be at 40 million. We're currently at 35. So we're almost there, but still a couple of miles left to go. But I think what's important to note is the fact that we have a lot of smart money that's backing us up. A lot of the large institutional players. So we have this, I guess, institutional quality when you look at our governance, which I think is important. We've already been vetted by a lot of these guys, right? The Investissement Québec, for those who know them, Fondation, Terralis, they're all very large organizations. So definitely exciting times ahead. But if anyone here in the crowd knows of an investor or is interested, of course, we're still taking on new LPs. With regards to the fund, we're looking at 5 verticals. So mobility being an obvious one, right? So everything that's battery, EV, sustainable mining. We're also focusing a lot on renewable energy with a focus on green hydrogen. What's interesting in Quebec is that one of the best spots to produce green hydrogen, cheapest electricity in all of North America and 99% renewable. A lot of people are talking about how green hydrogen will be the energy of the future. And to a very large extent, to achieve our carbon neutral targets, green hydrogen will be a big part of the picture. We're also looking at carbon capture, energy efficiency, and energy storage. Third is circular economy. So what do you do with all the waste? So the reuse, reutilize, recycle, ag tech, water. And last but not least, we're looking at the software, the IoT, the AI that's applied to these verticals, right? So we're trying to really focus on some of the software, but also hardware applied to the verticals mentioned above. Effectively, we're going to be a seed-based company, right? So I know some of the entrepreneurs that were presenting today were more on the Series A side. So we're going to be primarily seed, a little bit of Series A. We're looking to invest in 15 to 20 companies. with a strategy of basically putting 40% initial and then 60% follow on the best opportunities, right, on their follow-on. We're also trying to be pretty aggressive with our check sizes. So our average investment check size will be $1.25 million for seed and $3 million for Series A. Some people say we're a little bit above average according to market, but we want to give our entrepreneurs sufficient runway to be able to compete, especially with international markets. Interesting to note that, I think where we're very strategic is when you look at the Quebec ecosystem in climate tech, and you notice that a lot of the players are late stage. You look at Cycle, you look at MKB, they're in Series B and onwards. When looking at seed and Series A, there's not a lot of players, or virtually none. There's EcoFuel, whose investment period is coming to an end in the next few months. And so we're going to essentially fill an important gap in the ecosystem, helping to fund seed and Series A climate tech startups. And I think in VC, that's a big part of how you deliver outsized returns, is finding a gap in the ecosystem, addressing it, and it will allow us to handpick from the best opportunities going forward, and to build a very healthy pipeline for the follow-on investors such as Cycle and the MKBs that so we'll help our companies graduate, and we have large investors that are ready to take on once they do graduate. The 3 performance factors. Again, I think I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but what's interesting is that first-time funds have outperformed traditional VC funds. What's also interesting, and this is something you guys all know, but the climate tech sector is set to outperform, right? It's currently at a $2.5 trillion market cap. It's going to grow to $3.5 trillion in the next 5 years alone. That's $1 trillion of market cap growth. M&A, IPO, all that capital is going to be a very strong catalyst to the companies in our portfolio. And then what's interesting, in particular to Quebec and to some degree also the rest of Canada, is the amount of non-dilutive capital that is out there that you don't necessarily see in other markets, right? There's a new envelope called Competiver, $375 million envelope allocated for Quebec-based startups in cleantech, announced just a few months ago. So that's going to be our main co-investor, so it's going to be really interesting. SCTC, which a lot of you are familiar with, right, which is also very active on the cleantech space, and the Shred credits. So there's a lot of very interesting ingredients creating a very significant outperformance. More concretely, when looking at, what are some of the startups that would fit our thesis? And we've actually detected a few that we've kind of gathered or selected in the different verticals that we're looking at. A lot of it has to do with, so in the mobility side, right, there's a company called FTEX, which essentially is an AI-based solution around increasing the range of a battery by 30%. Right, so what it does is it mimics your behavior and adjusts the voltage of the battery. If you're going really rapidly, voltage increases. If you're going slower, voltage decreases, creating greater efficiency and larger preservation lifespan for the battery. So again, a big pain point in EV obviously is range anxiety. It's addressing that in a rather disruptive way using AI. So pretty fascinating, low to mid capex, in our opinion, great way to scalability. G Battery, very interesting technology, Ottawa-based, and what they do is essentially using, again, an AI programming, helping charge a battery within a 5 to 10 minute window, right? Essentially by avoiding clusters, by programming electrons that go from one anode to the next within a battery, to do so in a very synchronized way within a few milliseconds of intervals, allowing the full charge of the battery to go through without clustering, making it rapid, and again, preserving the lifespan of the battery. Last but not least, I'll finish with electrocarbon. I kind of like that story. And what it does is it takes the carbon that is captured from the atmosphere and it converts it into what's called furic acid. And what that is used to de-ice airports. As you know, runways of airports have to be clean 365 days a year, especially here in Canada. And right now, the way airports are doing that is they're importing sulfites, typically from Turkey or Middle East, and they're using this product, which is very damaging to the soil, on airport runways. Electrocarbon has a solution whereby you're literally cleaning the air, reducing your carbon footprint, using that to convert it to chemical usage, allowing it to be fully circular, and of course, to be a lot less damaging to the soil, having the exact same level of efficiency in terms of de-icing. And what's also interesting is that a lot of airports have now carbon neutral targets over the next 5 years. So many airports will have a very strong incentive to use a technology like electrocarbon. They currently have contracts with the Airport of Quebec and a few other Canadian military airports, but an interesting way to scale. So all this to say that there is a lot of very exciting, innovative opportunities that are out there. And I'm going to conclude by saying that, our main takeaway, right, what sets us apart is that we want to be very hands-on with regards to the entrepreneurs that we work with. All right, so we've built a team of specialists around each vertical that's going to be within our fund. We have a hydrogen specialist, a carbon capture, energy storage. And we also want to offer mentorship to our entrepreneurs. So we have in-house coaches, so to speak, that will be available to them on demand. Last but not least is the international network. And what we're noticing is that there is a great, there's a lot of innovation out there, fantastic innovation. The problem is the gap is really in the network. A lot of these great ideas don't come to their scale, don't commercialize, precisely because they don't necessarily have the right networks. And my partner and I both have very deep international networks across a lot of the names that you see here on the screen, whether it be Sequoia, the KKRs, the Excel, 2150, and that will move the needle. That will make the difference to a lot of the startups that need to commercialize globally. So this is our story. Hopefully you'll hear us when we officially launch in the next couple of weeks or so. And I invite all of you who are looking to collaborate with us to reach out, and looking forward to a cleaner and brighter future with all of you. Thank you so much.
Mira, thank you very, very much. And hopefully I'm actually showing up again. I had to restart there, so sorry about that, folks. But thank you, Mira. And Brian, I don't know if my thank yous got to you, so thank you to you too. It cut out right at the end there. But, we're space. There's a lot of activity in terms of new funding coming into this ecosystem, of all sorts of qualities, early stage to SPACs. So we're going to be monitoring this. We'll obviously let the community know when you guys both go live, for sure. And we're also seeing lots of new entrants of folks that have been in the ecosystem. We've got Round 13 Capital has got an Earth Tech fund that they've just done a deal out of. So there's more going on, and this is going to be something that we're going to be making a concerted effort to try and keep everybody in the loop regarding. So with that, we're at 4:58, and so I we'll probably wrap it up there and say thank you everybody for coming out. One last reminder, and if you stick around, I'll dig up the link and put it in the chat. I should have done that earlier, my apologies, but I'll stick the link in the chat for the EDC CleanTech Export Week registration for next week. There's as I say, there's already a lot of chatter going on the companion app for the event, and it's probably the best show in clean tech annually. So very much looking forward to that. Very much looking forward to seeing you all there, and we'll be in touch. Our next event and showcase will likely be end of November. So with that, have a wonderful day, and we will see you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.